rape if she ever comes back and charges him because she's so terrified of what's going to happen to her.
That one. I think the accuser
She did
dropped
because
that
she's
case,
so scared because of what
bet.
his supporters do. We've seen those women who came forward after the Access Hollywood tape. Those women who came forward, and good for them. And more, there are countless more who are in hiding now because they saw what happens to the ones who came out. So that's, that constant intimidation will silence people who are scared. It's not going to silence me. Not anymore. I mean, they scared me for a while. I will admit freely. It is terrifying to be cyber harassed, for people to target your family and your children. They're just coming for me, though. Bring it. You want to call me names on the internet? That's how brave you are? I can handle that. I'm going to fight you on that. The bigger fight is making sure that the person who is actually elected to be president gets to do the job. And we have to disband the Electoral College, and we have to email our electors. And honestly, if our electors decide to choose somebody who is not Hillary Clinton but is also not the chode, I will accept that. Obviously, we want the person who won the popular vote to actually get the job that she's overqualified for. But short of that, if John Kasich wants to step up or Mitt Romney wants to step up so that neither Mike Pence or the chode becomes president, I would acquiesce to that. So the appointment that we have the good people on our side. We've got, Elizabeth Warren. We have you. We've Cory Booker, Harry Reid. Even Lindsey Graham is stepping up and demanding an investigation into the Russian shit. So there are people who are willing to put themselves out there and fight. I'll stay on the front. Keith Olbermann. Everybody needs to watch Keith Olbermann and The Resistance, because what he says is what we need to be doing. So follow that. Follow, LGBTQ radio. We will always tell you the truth. Resist with us.
Exactly.
That's what I say.
Exactly. And I just want to ask you this. You're under no obligation because we're here on air, but we would love for you to join LGBTQ America Radio. I would like to see you do interviews, take people to task, get the facts out there. I mean, continue to put an honest microscope on what's going on. We're beyond the point where we can sugarcoat and be nicey nice to these facts, when the facts are that you have the President-elect of the United States building a cabinet of known white supremacists, one of whom ran Breitbart, and the ideology of the hate speech that was represented during the entire campaign. So this is not a surprise. None of what's happening right now is a surprise to me in any way.
And did you happen to see just today, just a little while ago, I was tweeting to the Hollywood Reporter because they did an interview with Steve Bannon. It's like, why would you do that? Why would you interview a white supremacist? Why then do we have to deal with these pull quotes that make him look like that are trying to make him look better? You are helping to normalize. Why is he even in the Hollywood Reporter? Why is that even a publication that's paying attention to him? The only publication that should ever print his name is the one that the KKK prints out in somebody's basement on probably an old mimeograph machine. So I would call upon all legitimate press to you can write stories about him, certainly, that expose. Don't interview him. Do not get a quote from him. Do not get him talking, because he's not going to admit that he's a white supremacist.
It normalizes it, doesn't it? If you give him a microphone, it's like we're normalizing it, right?
Absolutely. And so every time you see a media outlet quoting him and they don't frame it with white supremacist, Steve Bannon said, you call them on it. And not only that, you can go deeper than that. You can actually, if you see that the New York Daily News is doing something, just as an example, to normalize Steve Bannon, don't just tweet the New York Daily News. You call the New York Daily News and you ask to speak to the news director. And you tell the news director that you have a problem with them normalizing these people. And I will tell you something, news directors will overreact. And news directors will yell at people and say, you be careful with the way you're doing this. So that is the way that we make sure that the media is accountable. And you don't let up. Every single day I have left voicemails for Loretta Lynch, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, my local reps, and the House Judiciary. any 202 area code phone number that people are posting on Facebook and Twitter saying, call and complain, I am calling and complaining. We need to use our voices as much as possible. And I don't care if the people, if it makes people in your immediate life, if they're rolling their eyes at you, you say to them, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for our country. I'm doing this for future generations, so that when they look back, they can say the resistance prevented white supremacists from taking over the White House. I mean, we may change the course of what's about to happen, but we all have to be united and we have to be active, and we can't be complacent. We can't let them believe for 1 minute that we're weak, because we're not. We have to be strong and show that strength constantly. Stronger together was not a hashtag, and it's not just lip service. It's actually true. So when we are united, that is what makes us strong. So if we continue to stay on message consistently and fight it and never allow normalization, even in the smallest ways, that is how we fight. So I will talk to anybody. I will interview anybody, and I will call anybody on their shit if they're trying to get away with it. I will, because
I will make the arrangements personally. I will set it up for you, Sarah. I will make it happen. If we can do that.
Make it happen. I will.
Thank you so very much.
My dream is to sit down with the chode and make him cry. I could make him cry.
I noticed
you got me for life, my friend.
He blocked you on Twitter. Is there a reason that he blocked you on Twitter?
He blocked me on Twitter, I believe, August of 2015. So it's been a long time. And then just recently, his son, let's see. Well, there's Uday and Qusay. I think Qusay, Eric.
Oh my God!
Blocked me. I always call them.
Yes,
Uday
I know of who you speak.
Yeah, no, we always call the two older sons, Uday and Qusay, never call them by their real names. And Kellyanne Conway is Trailer Barbie. I don't have a nickname for Ivanka yet, though. I got to come up with something good, though. I don't know. I guess Daddy's little girl is enough, because she clearly is. In more ways than one.
One thing they do not need, do not give them a security clearance. None of them need a security clearance. There's already so much conflict of interest.
She shouldn't have been at that meeting with the Japanese ambassador. What the prime minister? What was she doing in that room? She never should have been there. It's ridiculous.
There's conflicts of interest that are so unprecedented between the children, the business interests. I mean, so if you look at it, if Trump was to give his business to a blind trust, a blind trust running it is a blind trust. That's someone that is not going to contact you on a day-to-day basis. And if we were to give the son-in-law the security clearance, you're going to tell me that he's not going to go home to Trump's daughter and talk shop at dinner?
Exactly.
You're freaking kidding me. It's impossible to separate that.
Exactly. It's all ridiculous. And here's the thing. From the moment he announced his candidacy, nobody has ever held his feet to the fire. Nobody has ever held him accountable. Nobody has ever stopped him. And so the question in my mind is, who stops him? Who? Because I'm rip shit, and I want to stop him, and you want to stop him. Millions of people voted to stop him, and even that wasn't enough. Who stops this man? How many times can we call Loretta Lynch? How many times can we hope that the Supreme Court takes a look and finally audits the votes and finally gives it to the woman who actually won? Like, who makes him accountable? That's my frustration. It's like he just walks around like the big man on campus and nothing touches him. And it's so frustrating. It makes me want to pull the skin off of my face. I'm that frustrated that nothing happens to him, that he can settle the lawsuit, that he can get this woman to drop her rape case against him. Everyone has this perceived power. He actually has no power. He has none. All of his casinos are going bankrupt. He doesn't pay his contractors. You read the list of 3,500 lawsuits against him. He doesn't have power. What he has is a mouth, and he has the ability to manipulate with that mouth. That is all he has, and we all have it too. And why does he get to walk away and the rest of us have to pay? Why does he get away with not paying taxes? for 20 years. We don't pay taxes for 20 years. We're in prison.
And not
How is
releasing
that
his
okay?
tax returns, like every other
Not
presidential
releasing his
candidate.
tax
We
returns.
never saw the tax returns released during
Never.
the campaign up until it still hasn't happened.
No, and except for that stuff that the New York Times got a hold of that he tried to block and disavow. So, and even that got swept under the carpet. Nothing, he's Teflon. Nothing touches him. Somebody somewhere. And, they're stepping, Harry Reid is not having it. So there's a voice in Congress who's doing something. That's great. But he's won. We need to collectively hold him accountable.
Yes.
And so everyone's like, no, just get away with it. Don't let him.
I'm going to say Elizabeth
That's why
Warren
he
and
blocked
Bernie
me.
Sanders. If you look at Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders' Twitter, they are picking up the mantle. They are unabashedly taking an anti-Cho stance, to be respectful to your wishes.
We have to.
I'm not saying
And
his
that's
name.
the lead we
Bernie,
have. That's
Bernie
the
Sanders
example.
is really being outspoken right now, if you look at Bernie Sanders' tweets as well.
Well, that's the example that we have to follow. Those are the tweets we have to retweet. And share those. You can share tweets on Facebook also for Facebook friends who don't tweet. Those are the examples we have to follow. There is no normalizing this. We do not have to be nice to them. When were they ever nice to Obama? When were they ever nice to Hillary? When were they ever nice to any of us? Never. I'm not turning it around on a dime and pretending. I am not going to let you serve me shit and eat it and smile and tell you it's delicious. I'm not going to do that. It doesn't work like that. Sorry, I am a Jersey girl. You do not mess with us. There is nothing that I'm going to let you get away with. If I see that you're doing wrong, I will call you on it. And that is why Trump blocked me, because when he was spinning his shit all the way back in the summer of 2015, and everyone was like, oh, what an entertaining buffoon. It's like, no, this is a crazy, scary, narcissistic insane person who will manipulate the media, and you don't get it because you think he's funny. And you have to remember, I grew up in Jersey in the 70s and 80s. I grew up with him constantly on the local news or on page 6 of the Post for being disgusting, for being this chauvinist playboy, for going after the Central Park Five, for being a slumlord, for being a sexist dickhead. We knew he was disgusting the whole time. And if only New York voted for president, she'd be already transitioning. So all of New York knows he's full of shit. The problem is that the rest of the country saw him on TV on The Apprentice, perceived that as strength, and ran with it. And that's crap. Just because someone's on TV, it does not mean they know what they're talking about. So it's an incredibly frustrating time to be an intelligent and informed American citizen because no one is listening to us. People are listening to the stupid, uninformed citizens, and that's wrong. And it's like being the smart kid in class and you get beat up for it. That's not the way it should be. Smart kids should be running things because they're the smart kids. He's the dumb guy that hangs out behind the wood shop and smokes cigarettes instead of going to class.
So he's the class bully. That's how I see him, as the class bully.
Totally the bully. Totally.
The bully that leads others to his cause. And then it's worse. It's not just one bully on a weak individual. It's the bully that brings 20 people to a locker room fight against one poor skinny kid. That's basically
because that bully
your chode is to America right now.
Yeah.
And if you are resolved to not let the chode win this fight, Tara Dublin, then we task you to be a contributor, be a host, be an on-air personality.
You got it.
This can be your vocal forum, and I wanted to work with you for a long time. So I'm personally excited right now. You are passionate about this. I am really impressed.
I really am. I am. It's not just me sitting here tweeting. Like, I feel this deeply because it does affect me personally. It has affected me personally. But what people need to remember, it affects every single American personally. And the people who are very passive, I can't understand being passive. And the 46% of Americans who did not vote, I am furious at them because this is their fault. So, and they didn't vote because going back to the media said, here are your two candidates. Pick the lesser of the two evils, when that was not the case. We had evil and we had incredibly amazing, wonderful experience, brilliant, looking forward to making America awesome. But they didn't present her that way. So we kept talking about our stupid frigging emails until the weekend before, thanks James Comey. So